Yeah.
So what I'm able to do, and I don't know if you can, how clearly you can see this, but I can now, I've got a camera mounted on there.
Yeah. So right now, what are you plugged into?
To the matchless.
Okay, so the whole time you've been into the matchless.
Into the matchless.
Into this cabinet.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so you can hear the H9 for one, but now that that's off.
Oh, wow.
If it's too bright, you move the mic.
That is amazing.
Especially on heavier tones, it gets, because there's so much rich harmonics.
Right.
So, give you an example, I can recall positions on this. So now it's on this custom audio. Let me switch guitars real quick. I use the radial JD7 to route the guitar signals to their amp heads.
Right.
So I can just, pop these little buttons in and out. And that routes it to the respective heads.
Yeah.
And let me make sure this is off of standby. You hear all these different harmonics. Because sometimes there's not enough presence on an amp, so rather than messing with the knobs, rather than pulling up an EQ or whatever for it, I'll move the microphone and find that spot.
Yeah, you're able to do that, and then you're able to completely change sounds, not just heads into the same cabinet, but you've got different cabinets and different heads, and the proper cabinets to go with each head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're back to the...
And again, that's the matchless.
That's the matchless. Back to the custom audio.
Yeah.
So when I do overdubs, and I learned this from a British engineer that he and another engineer would kind of flip-flop working on the AC/DC records. He didn't do Back in Black, he did the one before it and the one after it. They would kind of flip-flop stuff.
Yeah.
But I showed him this, and he said, when we do the AC/DC records, he said, every guitar part, every overdub gets its own sound. It's like when they get a guitar part, they tear that down, try a different amp, different miking, different part of the room, and everything gets its own space. And so you don't get this flattened out, one-dimensional thing, because a speaker is basically like a comb filter. And there's a really great guitar player here in town, Paul Allen. You know Paul? He does the 10-finger orchestra bit thing, and he's just a brilliant player. He was over here one time, and he said, well, since you've got all these amp heads, let's hear all these amp heads through one cabinet. And so I kind of set them similar.
Yeah.
But you've got the custom audio. You've got a 1965 Vox. You've got a 67 Deluxe Reverb. You've got all these different amps, and we plugged it into this 212, and he would play a little bit. I'd record it.
Yeah.
I'd move the speaker cable to the next amp head.
Yeah.
We heard 8 different amp heads into the same cabinet. You could barely tell them apart.
So it homogenized the sound.
It's unbelievable.
So much of the sound is part of the cabinet and the speaker. Yeah.
So when I do overdubs for people, a lot of times each overdub is like, oh, done with that.
Yeah.
And I'll swap over, let's move, and I'll call up a different amp.
So now we're, let's see, what are we going to? Now we're going to the Tweed Deluxe, or we keep going?
Well, let's see.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's the Blonde Bassman.
It's the Blonde Bassman cab. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I use this to switch to the Blonde Bassman. And let me see if it's off standby. Yeah. So it's very clean, you can see.
Yeah.
So, guys will say, my mattress doesn't clean up very well.
Yeah.
Well, then don't use it for those clean parts. Get an amp that sounds good clean.
Yeah. That's so fantastic that you have that you can offer when when someone's sending you tracks. It's like you have all these different tonal options they're all legit,
right there.
They're all proper, and they're right there.
Yeah, and so your overdubs don't just end up sounding like one big guitar. There's a depth to it because of the cabinets.
Yeah, the different speakers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've also got a gadget on your Tweed Deluxe that's fun, because that's one where the amp is actually out there. The head isn't separated.
Yeah,
out.
the electronics are out there.
Yeah,
and this is where it gets admittedly a little geeky.
Yeah. If it wasn't geeky enough.
already.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the Tweed Deluxe. Da 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 da. Thank you. We're here.
Yeah.
All right, so the electronics are down there.
Yeah.
All the other amps, all the electronics are up here. Speaker
Right.
cabinets are in the amp room.
Right.
But I didn't want to separate the Tweed Deluxe out, and I have a Tweed Champ down there, and then
Yeah.
a little Marshall studio thing from the '80s.
Yeah.
But that meant that I would have to foot it down there to turn the knobs and stuff.
Yeah.
So I started doing stuff like, if I'm going to be geeky, let's be totally geeky.
Yeah.
So I found there's radio controlled parts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I found these motors that people use for sailboats, for reeling in the sails, and they don't do a full 360, but they do enough of a range for what I need for guitar, for my amps. So I built it where the motor is mounted over the knob. I've got Velcro, one side of the Velcro on the motor. The other side of the Velcro I just stick on the knob, the old Tweed knob. And it's mounted over that. I found a board that translates MIDI to servo voltage. And so I can use a MIDI controller to control the little servo guy. Yeah. So and I probably wouldn't ever use it that gained up.
Yeah, but that's up to 12 or something like that. Yeah.
And so, like I can move it more towards the center where it's brighter.
Yeah.
Turn the volume down. Make sure the tone is up, and I get it. Then, if I want to gain it up, I'll usually move it to where it's a little bit darker. Turn up that volume. Turn down the tone. But it's that combination of the tone control, the volume. Otherwise, without the mic mover, it would be too, and without this tone guy, it'd just be a little bit too raspy sounding. Yeah, so I've also got that on the Champ. So I can pretty much turn it all the way down. Here it goes, gained up. Isn't that nasty? Yeah, I can sit here and do this all day, and I do. Yeah, so that's the geekier side of things right there.